Jazzcast Pros.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Getting Real with Bossy. Hey, Cal.
Hey, Cal.
How's it going?
That was weird. We both just called each other Cal.
I know. They've never done that before, ever.
Yeah. It's one of those days.
I don't like it. Oh, it's the end of summer. My gosh. Fall is my busy time. I mean, summer is hectic time, but fall is like my busy business time. So I feel like I'm so in October already because that's where my brain has to be, or else all of a sudden it'll be November. So for me, and summer is over. Now I have to plan for October, which is our busiest month.
And even just like in scheduling and stuff. So you've constantly got to be, you know, whether it's event scheduling for next month or 2 months out, or advertising schedules or payroll schedules, like we're always thinking in the future. And then I forget what day it is.
I know. So we're heading to DC very soon.
We are. By the time this episode airs, we will have already gone.
Right. So we are going to our second podcast movement convention, and I'm really excited. The first one, the last one we did, I had no idea what to expect. So I kind of went into it with zero expectations. And now that I know what to expect, I still have zero expectations because I feel like I'm going to learn so many different things outside of the actual things we sit in, just from like listening to people and talking and connecting and making those connections and the community that's built at those events. I'm really excited for.
We should create a custom scent and wear it with our custom shirts, so that when people meet us, they can smell us.
Genius.
I say that because we're about to interview Christina from Sense by Design, where you can create your own custom scent. You can do your own candle, your own lotion, your own body scrubs, like the whole shebang. It's amazing. It smells so good in there. She's got a beautiful location right in the neighborhood of the arts, like perfect spot. Yeah, I just love her location and her business.
I do too. Yeah, it's so unique. And I think, you know, people are craving those events, those things to do with their friends. They're really being very specific about how they spend their money. And as much as I know her opening came at such a horrible time in the pandemic, but I'm so excited for her, and to watch her go from that to where she is now is just amazing.
And in the interview, we're going to talk about how she comes from being a banker to being a business owner and the importance of that business plan.
And the importance of community and collaboration, and that community over competition. She's such a strong believer in that. And as you all know, it's such a strong thing. It's such an important thing for Kelly and I and Bossy in general. So I'm excited to have her speak to that a bit.
Well, enjoy the interview, and we will see you after. Hi, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Kelly,
the host of Getting Real with Bossy, the real, raw, and honest podcast about small business ownership. With our experience, 9 businesses, and over 25 years, we continue to bear it all and share what we wish we had known.
We move past the must be nices and start getting real.
Leave with another tool for the next time you feel alone on this journey.
Today we have as our guest Christina Julian, owner of Sense by Design, which is a pour your own candle and custom fragrance bar, which is probably one of the coolest businesses I've ever wanted to own, other than the nightmare that I am in.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So, Christina, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in this world.
Yeah. I mean, so I opened Sense by Design in November of 2020.
Whoa, hang on. I just think I needed to reprocess this. So COVID started in March and you opened in November. I had to process what you just said. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I discovered this concept, this custom fragrance, pour your own candle concept, when I was visiting my best friend who lives in Indianapolis years and years ago. It was her birthday weekend, and she was like, "Do you want to go make candles and drink mimosas?" And I was like, yes. Do I want to do this every weekend for the rest of my life? Like, it was such a cool concept. There was nothing like it in Rochester. And I had just become increasingly unhappy in my job. I had worked in commercial banking for my career up to that point, and was kind of looking for something different. I nobody wants to be a banker when they grow up, right? Like it was a good job, it paid the bills, but like it wasn't the dream job for me by any means. And so I was like, I could do this. Like this is something that's really unique, it's fun, it's creative. I feel like this could be really successful. So started doing a lot of research, kind of figuring out like how do you make candles? I created a business plan. I was saving my money for years. And then I finally left the bank in November of 2019 with the intention of opening that spring. And then we all know what happened in March of 2020. And so my plans got derailed a little bit. And I was like everybody, you know, like sitting at home being like, what am I doing with my life? Like, do I need to get a new job? Like, how am I possibly going to open a custom fragrance bar that's literally noses on during a time when face masks are required, that people aren't allowed to gather in groups? Like, how can I make this happen? By that summer, you remember like the summer of 2020, things started looking a little bit better. I had been looking at retail spaces for a long time, and the space that I ended up in became available in August of 2020. And I was like, this is it. This is exactly where I want to be. It's a perfect location, right in the neighborhood of the arts. The layout is great. It's everything. It doesn't need a ton of work, but like, you know, like this is it. This is where I want to be. So then cases like had been looking a little bit better. And so I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to sign the lease. We're going to build out as quick as I can. My goal is to open before the holidays because for retail, holidays are huge. So, you know, crazy build out. We opened in November of 2020. And then you remember like right after Halloween, that first year of COVID, cases skyrocketed again. And then the city of Rochester went into like the orange zone and
those color zones.
Yeah, a lot of businesses were forced to close, but I was able to stay open because I was retail. So, you know, it was a crazy time to open a business. It was really hard. There were a ton of ways that I had to adapt what my original vision for what my business model would be so that I could stay open and have sales during COVID, you know, but that's kind of entrepreneurship for you. Like there's going to be a million things that you never expect to happen and you kind of have to adapt and pivot and make it work. And so that's what I did. And yeah, now I'm almost 4 years in, and if I could survive that, hopefully it's smooth sailing from here. I don't know. I feel like as the longer I do this, the more that I realize that it doesn't get easier. That, you know, the problems are just different and harder and weirder, and there's always going to be something. But I'm really lucky. I love what I do. You know, it's pour your own candle and custom fragrance. So we have over 100 different scents available. You can come in and buy pre-made candles and scented products. But what makes it really fun and unique is you can blend oils together to create your own custom scents and pour your own candles and make your own fragrance products. So I think primarily we're known for candles, but you can also make flameless home fragrance products like wax melts and sprays and reed diffusers, and then body products as well. So lotion, sugar scrub, hand soap, body wash, spa salts. So there's, you know, kind of something for everybody. You know, it's a fun experience. It's something you do together. You come with your friends and your family, and it's like super fun, like girls' night out or date night. Kids love it. So it's kind of something for everybody. But yeah, I get to make candles all day, every day. I get to meet really cool people. And I've kind of created a space where people come to, you know, celebrate their big life events or even just like everyday Tuesday afternoons. And I really love what I do.
That's fantastic. And you really are the only one in the area doing this.
Yeah. It's something really unique. A lot of people compare it to like painting with a twist, that kind of thing where you like, you know, you go and you do like this artsy activity, and we serve wine and beer and non-alcoholic beverages at the candle bar also. And it is similar. I think that one thing that really differentiates us is that candles are a consumable product. All the things that you make here are something that you can actually use. And so people keep coming back because, you know, they want to make a new scent for fall, or they want to make a lotion that matches the body wash that they really loved or whatever. So it is really unique and it's really fun.
Yeah, I remember when I was thinking about you today, and I remember back, probably in the 90s, Bath and Body Works. I don't know if you remember that. They had like a fragrance bar where you could like create your own fragrance. And I thought it was the coolest thing. And that literally the last time I saw anything like it until we met you. And we met you in 2019 because you did a pop-up at our 7-year anniversary party.
I think that must have been 2020.
It was 2020. No,
was it 2020? I don't even.
Yeah, 2021.
Was it 21? I don't know. What year are we in?
I know.
21. Okay, so
So it was right before you opened.
Yeah.
But I do remember that's the first time I met you. So,
well,
And I was like,
I
who is
joined
this
like,
crazy
the Facebook
lady?
group, the Bossy Facebook group. Yeah, right. I think everybody thought that. I think people still think that. Some people don't get it. Some people don't understand the allure of custom fragrance and candles. You know, my dad will still send me pictures of him at like CVS, and he like has like a $6 candle, and he's like, see, $6. I'm like, well, that's not my competition. You know, if you want to get a $6 candle from CVS, that's not the same thing that I'm doing here.
exactly.
When I first met you, I thought you were crazy because you literally were pouring candles on like a folding table at our event. And I was like, how is she creating, like, because it was like a pop-up. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah. We do pop-ups occasionally. It's a lot of stuff to bring outside of the store.
I'm sure.
You know, like when you come here, we have 100 different scents and we're all set up for it. We have all this equipment and everything here that makes it much easier to pour candles than when we do like a pop-up like that. So we don't do pop-ups often. It kind of diminishes the experience in a way. I think the best part of this is being able to come in and smell 100 different candles and be like, what's the difference between the way mahogany and cedar smells and which one do I like better? And when, you know, we do it at pop-ups, we have to do it on a smaller scale. I'll bring like 10 to 15 cents. And so you kind of lose a lot of what I think is the coolest part is being able to smell the different scents and figure out like what you really like and what the differences are between different scents and what works well together.
Yeah, it is such a unique experience. And I think, I mean, COVID was horrible and definitely derailed you, but you've pivoted. But I think we really are moving to more of an area or more of a time where people are craving those experiences. They're not just spending money just to do anything. You know, Kelly and I talk about the recession, not recession all the time, but people are really being very specific about how they spend their money and they're looking for experiences. And that's exactly what you provide.
And that's one of the reasons that I was so drawn to this concept, because in this day and age, getting a brick and mortar store is a huge risk for anybody. Like, unless you can compete with Amazon, which is so hard to do, there's a lot of risk in all of the overhead that goes into having a brick and mortar space. And so one of the things that really drew me to this concept is that in some ways it is Amazon proof. Like, you're never going to be able to create your own custom scent online and smell all these smells. And, you know, it's a gathering place and it's an experience more than it is a shopping experience, I think.
Absolutely.
So we've been talking a lot lately on our episodes about the effect of the not recession and how certain industries are feeling it harder than others and certain sectors of certain industries. With your industry being, I can't imagine, like you said, it's not a $6 candle, right? So people are starting to feel the penny pinches. Are you seeing a downturn in the spending patterns of your regulars?
So I'm almost 4 years in at this point, right? So at this point is when I'm starting to actually kind of have real data to look back on, because again, the first 2 years of my business were COVID.
Right.
So not really reliable data. And I was brand new and people didn't know who I was or what we did. So, you know, now I can look back and be like, yeah, my sales this summer are like a little bit down from last summer, but summer's always my slow season too. So it's not something that I'm really concerned about yet, because again, I don't have a lot of data to look at trends like that. It's also really hard to compare my business to other businesses because it's not a restaurant, it's not a store, it's not a bar. It's kind of something in the middle. It's kind of like this gray area. So like I said, summer's always my slow season. You know, when it's nice out in Rochester, you want to be outside doing anything, literally yard work, right? Like if you get a nice day, you want to be enjoying the weather. So it makes sense to me that fewer people are coming in to make candles and custom fragrances. Come fall, you know, it's pumpkin spice season and, you know, all those cozy fall scents. People are spending more time in their homes too. So they're burning candles and they're using those custom fragrance products more. So right now, like I can say, like looking at my numbers, I'm a little bit down year over year, but I don't think that that is necessarily reflective of the overall economic condition of the world or our city or anything like that. I think that that's going to be just kind of standard how my business trends slower in the summertime.
And that makes sense.
But we'll see. Who knows?
Right. So you're not only doing things with individuals and groups of people, you also work with businesses, right?
Yeah. So
can you speak to that?
Yeah. Custom fragrance is something that can be used in a lot of different ways. Your sense of smell is really closely tied to your memories and your emotions. It's the same part of your brain that does all of that. And so that's why like you can smell something and it'll take you right back to a specific time or place in your life. And that makes scent a really powerful branding tool for businesses. Like if you create a custom scent for your business, people are going to associate that scent with the experience that they had when they were in your business. So creating signature scent for business is something that I think is a lot of fun, working with other business owners and being like, what kind of scents represent your brand? What goes into that? And we have a pretty extensive wholesale and special order program. We also do custom fragrance for like wedding favors or baby shower favors, that kind of thing. It is really, really fun to bring in a group of people and be like, okay, what sense do you associate with this occasion or this place or whatever, and come up with things that, have, emotional meaning also assigned to a scent, and creating that design of a custom scent that has more meaning than just like a candle that you're burning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really fun. It's fun to like hear, that's my favorite part of doing this, honestly, is hearing what people's associations are and what memories they have. We kind of joke about like dead grandma candles. Like if you want to make a candle that reminds you of your grandma and it's like coffee bean and rose petals, like I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you blend those two scents together. But if it makes you happy and it reminds you of your grandma, like that's great. You just have to love that candle scent. There's no wrong answers in creating custom scent. It's whatever makes you happy, and it's whatever you are going to enjoy in your space.
How about talcum powder and Salem cigarettes?
We do not have a cigarette scent or even a powder scent. We definitely have some scents that lean a little bit powdery. We have Cigar Lounge, like that's like our tobacco scent. But cigar and cigarette smell is a little bit different. But there are so many scents out there. There are thousands of fragrances, and we have 100 at any given time. And there will still be people who come in and ask for scents that we don't have. And it's like, I can't have every scent. There are literally thousands out there. It is fun to try to recreate scents, though. If you wanted to try to duplicate something, even if we don't have the exact scent that you're looking for, we usually have something so you can kind of get close to it. And then sometimes you create something that you like even better than what you thought you wanted going into it, because you're creating it yourself. There's also that like sense of pride and ownership when you create something yourself. It makes it really special. And then when somebody comes over and they're like, oh my gosh, it smells so good in here, you're like, it's custom, like I made it myself. It's one of a kind.
Right.
You have this love for your scent that you create yourself in a way that you wouldn't if you just bought it off the shelf.
Do you like save that information?
No. So for customers, when they come in to create their own custom scents, we do not save the information. How it works is you pick up a worksheet and you write down all of the scents that you like on your worksheet. And then when you decide what products you want to make, you work with one of our scent stylists, and we help you blend your oils together to create your custom scent. And we give you your worksheet that has the scents that you chose on it. And it goes in the bag when you pick up your candles, because candles take 2 hours to set. So you come back later. So I don't save all that information. If you were doing a wholesale order or a special order, we would create a recipe and we would save it for you so we could recreate it. But generally, we don't save all of the individual customer blends that they're creating when they come in. I would need a library to save all of everybody's worksheets. It is like a dream of mine. I do have a dream that I create this app that would save everybody's information in a database form, and then it would even be linked up to the marketing of everything. So after a month, you would be like, oh, it's been a while since you've been in here. Do you want to reorder? Or, hey, you liked this scent, so you might like this new scent that we just released. So yeah, I have a dream of creating something like that, but it's still in the research and development phase.
That's fantastic. What a great idea.
Yeah. We'll see. I am ambitious. I'll say that.
You definitely are. At one point you talked about maybe even expanding. Is that something that you're still looking at? Because I know you are very ambitious for sure, but...
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something that I think about often. When I was originally had this idea and this concept, I definitely thought I was going to build a whole empire, I could do this in every city. And there is opportunity for it. For me right now, the issue is I'm only one person and I can barely run my one store, and I can't imagine having multiple locations to manage, and staffing, is always an issue. This to me, this is the best job in the world, and I still have a lot of turnover. It's not something that I have totally dismissed, but it's definitely something that I look at from a realistic perspective, what do I want my life to look like? Because I am working a lot already, and I can't imagine having another location to manage. And just like inventory management, all of that would go into having multiple locations. Right now, it seems a little bit too much for me to want to take on, but we'll see. Because like I said, I do feel like there's a ton of opportunity. And at first, I thought that it was the kind of thing where I was like, I got to jump on this before somebody else does, because there's nothing stopping anybody else from trying to open a custom fragrance bar, anywhere. Now I kind of realize that like I have my hands full with one store, and I love being behind the bar and helping customers. And if I were to open another location, I would have to move into more of like an operations managerial type role. And it would take me out of the store, and I wouldn't be here making candles and meeting people and having fun doing the things that I consider are fun. It would be a lot more, administrative stuff. And I'm not ready to leave the day-to-day in the store to take on that more operational role right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of like soul searching, right? Because like I like, what do I want my life to look like is a really big question. And, something that's going to change over time and even day to day.
Right. And it's the perfect answer too, because there is such a trade-off. People talk about that all the time. Keep building, franchise, do all these things. But you do lose things. I am not at my one location ever, one day a week. That's it. And I miss that. And you do lose some of that. There might be a time where it makes sense to do that kind of growth. But if you're loving what you're doing right now, keep at it.
There is a lot of me in this business, right? Well, I think one of the reasons that it's successful is because I love what I do here. And we do fun events that are things that I'm interested in. And it's hard to duplicate that if I were to open a second location and have somebody else running it, right? Like I am a huge Swiftie. I love Taylor Swift. So every time Taylor Swift releases a new album, we have an album release party, and it works because I love Taylor Swift and I love doing that. But if I were to try to force that onto somebody else who didn't care about Taylor Swift releasing a new album, it wouldn't land the same way. And so, that's one of the things about small business that I really love, is kind of be able to take it in whatever direction you want and let it be yours. And then, the idea of growing it and trying to duplicate it somewhere else, I would lose some of the authenticity, I think, that goes into what I'm doing here right now.
So I have actually on here that you do a lot of events and that you are a Swiftie. And I was going to ask you what your favorite events were that you put on. Aside from your album release parties, what are some of the most like out of the box, crazy things that you've done at the Candle Bar?
I mean, when people come to me with ideas, I love collaborating with other businesses and like cross promoting. I think that is our events that are the most successful, is when you find something that like really fits with the demographic that already is coming to your store, and you can help cross promote another business, and they're also going to help cross promote your business. One of the first really successful events that we did was chocolate, wine, and candles with Laughing Gull Chocolates, because chocolate, wine, and candles, like, come on, like that's like the trifecta. Like, does it get any better than that? And it was just a really fun way to, do a wine tasting, chocolate pairing, candle making class that, attracted a lot of different people. And it's something that we do, we still do it like once or twice a year, because there's always going to be people who want chocolate, wine, and candles. And so like that's an example of one that an event that we do that has done really well is book club. When I started doing book club, nobody came. Like a couple of my friends would come because they felt bad for me because nobody was buying tickets to my event. But now it's like we do it twice a month and it sells out. And it's just grown because people come to book club and they want to talk about a book and make a candle. And we have a lot of regulars who come back every month, and we have new people who just pop in. And it's just a really fun way to connect with people. And, you get to make a candle and have a drink and then talk to people who all read the same book that you did. So you already have something in common. And so book club has been a really fun one.
Well, I think we've talked about it twice now, but I don't know that our listeners know exactly what goes into this Swiftie album release event. So can you explain that more? Because it's pretty elaborate and intense. And I know the amount of work it takes for you to do this. So can you explain in great detail? Because it is so cool.
Well, every album release, we've done something slightly different, right? Because every album is different, and we try to be in the theme of the era of the album that Taylor Swift is releasing. So the first album release party we did was for Red, Taylor's version. And for that event, we made custom vessels that said Burning Red. which is, part of the lyrics from Red. And everybody created their own custom scent. That time we did trivia, Taylor Swift trivia related to it. The most recent one we did was the Tortured Poets Department album release. And so the Tortured Poets Department was very like dark academia vibes, this poetry theme, but we didn't really know going into it what we were going to get, because we don't get like a single that drops before the album. We just kind of have like whatever Taylor Swift's marketing team is throwing out into the world. So I thought it would be cool to do poetry in the style of magnetic poetry. So, like those magnets you would put on the fridge that are all just like single words, and then you put them together and try to create something poetic. So I thought it would be cool for that event to print out all of the lyrics from the Tortured Poets Department and cut them up into little stickers. And then you could create your own candle label with the words from the Tortured Poets Department in the style of magnetic poetry. So you would just use one word at a time and try to put something together to come up with whatever you wanted your label to say. And I thought that was such a brilliant idea, and it was really fun. But then Taylor Swift surprise dropped 2 albums. And so there were a lot of words that we had to cut out. And we had a week between the album drop and the release party. So the entire week I was just cutting up little tiny words and preparing for the event. But so every album release party, we do something a little bit different. We've been talking about the anticipation for Reputation, Taylor's version, and thinking we might do like a murder mystery party for that, because, the old Taylor's dead. So we'll see what we come up with.
All right. I love that. Sign us up. That's so much fun. That's so creative. But a lot of work.
And the reason that it's worth it is because I love it, right? Like I love doing these events. I love Taylor Swift. I love talking about Taylor Swift and thinking about Taylor Swift. And it works because it's something that I enjoy doing, versus if it was something that I wasn't really into, it would be a lot. It would seem like a lot of work. It would seem like a lot more effort than it does, because I really do enjoy it.
I assume that these are your favorite parts of your job. You speak so passionately about working with people behind the bar and doing the events and creating the concept. What have you found over the past 4 years that you despise? Like what are the things on that to-do list that just keep getting pushed off?
QuickBooks, like anything related to the bookkeeping, like, my accountant, I have an accountant and a bookkeeper, like I'm not doing this alone, but like my accountant, I remember my accountant being like, when you start actually making money, it's going to be a lot more fun. And I'm like still waiting for that to be true, because it's just tedious and monotonous. And it's the kind of thing, like I have to do it. Like, we're in August 5th and I haven't done my QuickBooks for July yet. And I'm like, I feel that, right? Like, I feel like I have to do it sooner. I just need to get it done. It's one of those things that is just not fun for me. Other things like human resources stuff, I really, really struggle with. I created my employee handbook, and I feel like that's one of like the greatest accomplishments of my life, because it took me so long to put it all together. And even as it stands, it's not perfect, but it is done. I love making candles. I love being in front of people. I don't enjoy like the administrative stuff that goes into it, the paperwork and I enjoy a spreadsheet. I do enjoy a good spreadsheet. Like I have some great spreadsheets that I'm very proud of, but the maintaining it, even just like tracking inventory, all of that stuff it just is so boring to me. So it draws a lot more energy versus like working with people behind the bar and making candles and hosting events and collaborating. That is fun for me. So it's more energizing in a way.
Right. We do a lot of co-working with Bossy, and I'm wondering now, Kelly, maybe it's like the first Thursday of the month is just QuickBooks co-work, and we all get together, because I'm the same way. Girl, I don't even know if I've gotten to June yet. So I'm like really behind, because summer is crazy for me. So maybe that's something we need to look into doing. That's just QuickBooks. We're there to do QuickBooks, and we all get our QuickBooks done.
I got ahead and started mine early because I needed to see my numbers really bad. And then I realized that I had issues closing my June that I then forgot about because I was busy. And so now I have to figure out what the hell I was doing at the end of June with my QuickBooks so that I can do July. But anyways, I'm kind of surprised to hear that, Christina, only because you come from a banking background. Like that was your career, was, I assume, numbers.
Yeah. But again, like I didn't want to be a banker. When I worked in banking, I was in commercial banking and I was on the cash management side of things. So I kind of spun it in this way where it was like, I wasn't an accountant. I wasn't like a financial analyst. I worked with businesses to help them manage their cash flow. So I sold products that they would use for their payables and their receivables and their liquidity. So to me, it was almost like a puzzle. I got to like tell you, like, these are things that you could be doing to streamline your financial operations. If you were to move away from, for example, like paper checks to electronic payments, you would save money in these ways. So to me, I looked at it as like a more creative side of banking versus the like underwriting department, which was literally just like crunching numbers and, ratios and percentages. And that to me was very, very boring still. And that is still kind of how, I look at the business management, right? Like the fun things are the creative things and the boring things are administrative and number crunching and just like numbers based. And I know it's important. Like, obviously, like making money in a business is important. I know it's such an important aspect of what I'm doing, but it's not what my focus is because it's not what I like to think about. It's not what I enjoy doing.
You're back.
I'm blaming the band that's randomly playing on the stage outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it through my mic. And Jazzy, I'm sorry if you can, but it's Monday and nobody's ever on the stage on Mondays. And there's like an electric guitar. I can hear it through my headphones. So I keep trying to mute when I'm not talking so that it doesn't like feed into the interview.
Gotcha.
So Christina, what did little Christina want to be?
Okay, so when I was growing up, I said I wanted to be a lawyer by day and an opera singer by night. And I honestly have no idea how I came up with this concept. I thought that I thought it was important to make money and that like if I was a singer or if I was like in a creative field, I wouldn't have money. So I was going to be a lawyer during the day because in my head, like a lawyer was a person who made a lot of money. And then at night, I would be an opera singer because that would be like a way for me to do something fun and creative. And so I could have like the best of both worlds. I have no exposure to opera. I have no idea how I came up with opera and why I thought that was like what I wanted to do. I think maybe in my head, it was like something that happened at night so I could have my day job and a night job.
Gotcha.
But I honestly have no idea. So yeah, that's like I never thought that was what I was going to do. I never studied opera or anything, but that's what I told everybody. I was going to be a lawyer and an opera singer.
I think that is my favorite answer to that question. We ask that a lot, and I think that's genius and perfect rationale for sure, especially, with you having zero training in opera or experience with it. That's what kids do. That makes perfect sense.
Right. I think that like from a young age, I thought that making money was important. For better or worse, I think that I thought that if I made a lot of money, that would make my life easier in some way. And I always wanted to be able to just like buy whatever I wanted to buy, right? Like I didn't want to have to think about money. Like even like clothes shopping, going to school growing up, I just remember feeling like if I had money, I would be able to get what I wanted and that would make my life better. And, like thoughts as a child, I've definitely... my relationship with money has changed a lot since then. But I think that there was this weird focus on making money. And that's why I thought I needed to have two jobs.
No, I agree. And you're younger than me for sure. But our generation kind of just grew up being, that money was a big part of that. Like being successful, being financially stable, all that stuff. So that makes perfect sense.
Well, and the fact that you're not scared of having multiple jobs makes you line up with being a small business owner.
That's right.
right. Yeah.
The reason I asked
do like
that
to stay busy.
Is that connection between, seeing that opportunity of candle making and scent making and what you wanted to create and seeing that opportunity being there and then thinking, I should quit my stable job and go do this. And the connection to hearing your story about like what you wanted to be when you were growing up, like I'm like, oh, I could totally see somebody that thought that they could be a lawyer. Because like a lawyer is not a low stress, low time consuming job. And then an opera singer, like, sure, also not low stress and low time consuming.
Right.
You're like,
right,
oh,
But as a kid, you don't know that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Like I look back on my life before, like when I was a banker, and I don't even know how I did it for as long as I did. Because it was just, you get up and go, you do what you have to do. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even recognize that girl. Like I had by the end of my career, I was traveling so much for work. I was based out of Rochester, but I was covering like the North Country, like up near Canada, Albany and New Jersey markets. And I was on the road all of the time. And I just did it because that was what I had to do. And now I look back on it and I'm like, I was never home. I was living out of hotels and, like parking garages and elevators, like all of these things that were like such a part of my daily life that like I never park in a parking garage anymore. And I don't miss it at all. Wearing pantyhose and suits and heels to work every day, like I lived that for so long. I've just been cleaning out my closet and I just feel like this is going to be such a purge, like getting rid of all these banker clothes, like, cause I never wear them. I wear tie-dye t-shirts literally every day almost like, like I didn't even like those clothes when I had to wear them. Why am I holding on to them? It's so crazy because it was my life and you just do what you do. And sometimes you just get up and go without thinking about it. And then like having some distance from it, being like, wow, I don't know how I did that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, that's gonna be a fun purge for you. I'm excited for that for you.
Yeah, we're having a clothing swap here. Speaking of fun events that we're doing at the store, we're having a clothing swap here, and it's a free event. Just bring stuff you want to get rid of. Take anything that you find that you like.
That's wonderful.
If you have dress clothes, Dress for Success is always looking for like suits and things for interviews and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Do you have any other things coming up you want to tell us about?
Next weekend is NODA Summer Social. The Neighborhood of the Arts is doing a summer social event. That should be fun. It's going to be based out of Three Heads Brewery, like right around the corner from me on Atlantic. But lots of businesses in the Neighborhood of the Arts are participating. I'm not going to be with my business at Three Heads. I'm just going to be open here, but we're doing like a prize wheel. So hopefully that'll be like a fun way to draw people into the Neighborhood of the Arts, get people, shopping around, supporting the small businesses around here. And then, we're going to do our fall scent release on August 29th. So we do switch out our scents seasonally. Right now we have our summer scents out. And so August 29th, we're going to put out all the fall stuff, which is exciting because fall is candle season. People are already asking for the pumpkin spice. So we're getting geared up for that. And then, honestly, I'm preparing for fall and holiday right now and, just trying to use this downtime that I have in the summer to, get through all the stuff that I know I'm not going to have time to do once we get crazy again. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on lately.
In the very beginning of the interview, you had mentioned your business plan for this particular business. So if you have downtime, maybe you should start a business plan for what expansion might look like. And then next year you can kind of see where you're at and if it's still something you want to think about or not.
Yeah, I have started the business plan for what expansion would look like. One of my problems is that there's a few different ways I could go. And like, that's not a bad problem to have, but I really do almost feel like if I do choose to expand, it's going to be a matter of opportunity. It's going to be like a situation that comes up, like I find the perfect space or I find the perfect person or something like that. Because like I said, there's a lot of barriers for me right now to deciding that I want to commit too much time or energy into expansion. Even private event kind of stuff. Like there's definitely an opportunity for me to do more private events because right now I only do private events outside of my normal business hours. And I'm open 11 to 7, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 8, Friday, Saturday, 11 to 5 on Sunday. So I don't have a lot of outside of my normal business hours opportunities for people to do private events. And it's something that people ask about all the time. I just don't have the space for it. And I can't close my store when I say we're open 11 to 8 on Saturday. I can't have my store closed because people do come here even from out of town, and if they got here and there was a sign on the door that said closed for a private event, that would be a terrible customer experience. And then, even just focusing more on my wholesale and special order kind of stuff, there's definitely opportunity to grow my business that way. As a matter of just dedicating time and, putting in the effort to making those sales and making those connections. And the idea of the second location in Rochester doesn't make sense to me. I just feel like Rochester is not big enough of a market to really support 2 separate candle bar locations. It would almost be like I was competing with myself. And there are definitely a lot of times where it's slow in the store, if I have no idea if anybody's going to walk in to make candles tomorrow. Right. And it is just based on, it kind of feels random sometimes when people are going to come in and when they're not. So we do already have a lot of downtime that like having overhead for 2 stores and then splitting, even if it was insignificant, splitting my sales from my one location would feel redundant and unnecessary. But we'll see,
Sure.
like we'll see. Like I'm at the point now where I feel like if it happens, it would have to be the right circumstances around it. And honestly, going back to the business plan, I should spend time on my business plan for this business too, right? Like that's supposed to be a living document that's supposed to be updating all the time.
Absolutely.
When we were at that Bossy retreat that we did at iSquare earlier this year, I don't remember who was talking about business plans, but I pulled mine up and I was like looking at my projections for where I would be in 3 and 5 years. And I was like, like, like she was so optimistic. And I don't think I that's the thing about projections though, is that like they're just a wild guess, really. Like people, I don't know how people come up with real projections. And that's even coming from me, a former banker, right? Like, growth is so, again, it sometimes just feels so random. And when I opened this business, the world was a different place than it is now. I was a different person than I am now. And so like looking back on my business plan and what my goals were and what my strategies were, like, yeah, a lot of that still applies and a lot of that is still relevant, but also so much has changed only in 4 years, right? I have no idea where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. And I guess a part of me finds that really exciting. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really do enjoy entrepreneurship.
Well, I love the collaborations that you do. I have 10 different ideas I just came up with, and I'm going to reach out to you separately after.
Awesome.
But I think it's, it's what Kelly and I talk about all the time, the importance of community and supporting each other and being willing to collaborate and not see things as competition, but working together. And you've been very vocal and a big part of Bossy and other groups, I'm sure, but it is so important. And we love to see small businesses doing that.
Yeah, seriously, community over competition is something that is like so important to me. And, being in the city of Rochester, being in the neighborhood of the arts, like being a part of a community, like that's what makes this interesting and fun and important, right? Like there are so many times, and I know that I'm not the only small business owner that feels this, but there are so many times that like it feels small, right? Like I'm making candles, right? Like I'm not changing the world, right? Like the state of the world is just insane right now, right? Like what am I doing to make the world a better place? And when you look at it globally like that, it does feel small. But when you look at it like in this neighborhood and you think about all the people who come here and the employees that I have that I'm paying, that are like paying their bills and spending money in the community and all of that, like it's just like it's a trickle effect, but like it really is important. Oh my gosh, let me tell you all a story. I had a couple get engaged here this week. There was a proposal at Sense by Design, and they had their first date here 2 years ago. It was the first time they met. They met online, and then their first like in-person meeting was at Sense by Design 2 years ago. And then they just got engaged. She proposed at Sense by Design. And like,
that's amazing.
And like the fact that like my small little candle bar, like is a part of their love story. Like they love each other and they want to get married now. And like, that's just like so incredible to me. Right. And it's like little things like that like really do make it all feel worth it. And like, I just feel so lucky and grateful for everything that I have here. And like, I'm definitely not solving the war in the Middle East, but like I am creating a space here that people can come and enjoy each other and make candles and connect for a brief time at least.
And you're not just creating that space in your space. I know for a fact that you've affected the neighborhood. You have definitely been a huge part of the business association and, keeping the neighborhood vital and moving forward. And I think that's important to acknowledge, like you put that work in.
Just being a good neighbor, right? Like, again, like just like community is so important, especially in small business. And when I first opened, I feel like I expected everybody to like want to be my friend. And I realized pretty quickly that like not everybody cared or wanted to be my friend. And I was like, wait, what? Like, what's wrong with me? Why don't you care about what I'm doing here? But you really quickly find your people, right? You find the people that you want to support and that are going to support you. And you find that community in any atmosphere. And the small business community is the same. And Like, I'm so grateful to have found Bossy. Like, Bossy is such a great community, and I always learn something whenever I go to any events with Bossy, and I always meet new people and hear different ideas. And there's so much power in that. And the group that y'all have created with Bossy, you know, even in this podcast, I think I've listened to every single episode because I'm so interested in hearing everybody's stories. And there is so much power in the community and coming together and what you can accomplish when you work together. And I'm just like really grateful to y'all for creating the space and to be able to be a part of it. And, to be featured on this podcast, like, I feel like really cool.
Well, we feel very cool for you to be here for sure.
One last question, okay. Christina. If you could partner with anybody that you haven't partnered with, that you're like, you think out of space, right? Like out there, what's the thing that you would love to partner with the most?
Taylor Swift. She needs custom fragrance for her merch line for sure.
All right, we'll put it in. We'll manifest it.
We're manifesting Taylor Swift working with Sense by Design on her new fragrance.
You got to put it out there, right? Like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Maybe someday.
You know she's listening.
Yep, we'll send her PR people a copy of this podcast, and I'm sure it'll happen. I believe in it. Tell people how they can reach you and find you.
Sense by Design is located at 728 University Ave, right in the neighborhood of the arts in the city of Rochester. Our website is sensebydesign.com, and we are at Sense by Design Candle Bar on all of the social medias.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful and really honored. I can't believe y'all wanted to talk to me, but I feel very honored to be a guest on your podcast.
Okay, so Taylor Swift, if you're out there listening, we need you to come to Rochester and work with Christina at Sense by Design.
Yes, we do. And you don't even need to come to Rochester. I'm sure Christina's already got a couple of scents that are perfect for you. You just need to reach out.
I hear you, but I also want her to come to Rochester. I think that'd be amazing. Or Christina, I'm sure, will come to you, yes, which is probably what she deserves, is to get out and go meet you. I remember watching her do posts about cutting all of those little words, and I was like, oh my God, I've done some crazy things that have been really way more labor intensive than I thought they would be, but nothing compared to that. And that is like true commitment and true love for what she's doing. That's what she is. That's who she is. That's what she does. She sticks to it and she doesn't half-ass anything. And she's so committed.
I don't know Taylor Swift, but from what I understand about Taylor Swift, they're like the same person.
I think so. Even more reason.
I can't wait to go in and make our candles, and we're going to be sharing that on social media. So make sure that you watch and follow and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're going to smell amazing.
And then we'll bring our smell to DC.
Yep.
Oh, it's going to be so cool.
It's going to be great.
People are going to be like, why do you smell so bad? Like, we're going to like be whiffing it everywhere. Like, yeah. They're going to be like, less perfume.
Right. And I'm at that, that stage in menopause now where the flashes just come. So I have my little fan. So I'll just be spreading our scent all through DC.
We're going to be like cats. But people will remember us.
They will remember us, and they will remember Christine.
And we will share all of this on social as well, because why not?
Exactly. All right. So yeah, follow us, Bossy Rock, ROC, on all your socials, Bossy Rochester. And then you can see us making candles and see us in DC. And make sure to reach out if you have any information or story ideas, or if you want to be a guest on our podcast, or if you need to reach out to Christina at all. We'd love to connect you. You can reach us at bossyrock@gmail.com.
I hope you enjoyed the interview. We enjoyed talking to her, and we will see y'all soon. Be bold.
Be brave.
Be the boss.